So, hypothetical question, but have you ever felt as though your comic book stories are missing characters inspired by candy mascots? No? Well, we're gonna see some in today's comic. So, this very strange Sonic story starts with Sonic purposefully triggering landmines that he can fortunately outrun. And why is he doing this? Well, it's because he and his friends are trying to steal electricity from none other than Robotnik. However, once Rotor breaks one of the wires, they are then surrounded by a force field and SWAT bots come a-running at them. Enter a Nerb. Not to be confused with the candy nerd mascot, or just a casual nerd because he looks nerdy like what Tails calls him. This is an original character who is not based off of any kind of Wonka candy. The gang manages to escape through the Nerbs tunnel, and then they arrive at Nerb City. It's here that they meet the Nerb King, and we learn that the Nerbs just really hate outsiders, and they don't like mixing with them, which is not a great take to have, but also they might have a point, because Sonic and his friends have been here for like a minute, and Tails right off the bat is like, why are your clothes so silly? Like, you're one to talk, Tails. Tails, you are the guy who is perpetually naked. Naked Foxes aside, Sonic offers that he and his friends should team up with the Nerb King. Having been given no reason to trust these electrical power thieves who just insulted his drip, the king orders them back to the surface. And the gang acts like the Nerbs are totally in the wrong for doing this. Like they didn't just barge into their home, insult them, and then they were like, okay, now let's team up because we're clearly the good guys here. Tails still ends up taking another shot at their clothes, and it's like, what the heck, man? Chill. Aside from Bunny's top, all of you here are naked. You've got nothing to say about clothes. So Sonic and pals are leaving, and on their way there, they find this door that reads MSS. Only Sonic knows what this acronym means, however, he refuses to elaborate and instead just busts it open. It's here that we learn that this is the Mobius sewer system, and that these sewers were closed down years ago, meaning that either Robotnik has his own sewage system that he built, or he just doesn't use a sewage system at all for his dookies. Both of them kind of weird. Now, Sonic knew what MSS was because he used to play in the sewers as a kid, and I'm like, hey, what kind of story is this? Am I crazy, or is like playing the sewers as a kid just like really, really sad and like just such a strange bit of lore to add in this already strange story? Like, I feel so bad that a little Sonic had to play in the sewers, but we don't have time to dwell on that, as there's this noise in the tunnel that our Blue Blur has to investigate. At the end of the tunnel, Sonic finds Robotnik piloting a giant excavator bot who is digging next to the sewers for seemingly no reason, maybe to build his own sewers, I don't know. Though while doing this, he has for some reason captured some Nerbs. Sonic, ever the hero, leaps into action, saves the Nerbs, and ends up damaging Robotnik's mech in the process. I wonder if we'll ever find out what Robotnik was mining, or if Robotnik will ever catch up to Sonic and destroy the Nerb City or something. Maybe there'll be some kind of stakes to the story. Maybe we'll even learn why he captured these Nerbs. Like, are the Nerbs like Smurfs and he's gonna turn them to gold, or whatever reason Gargamel wanted to capture Smurfs for? I don't know. None of these questions are ever answered, and Robotnik is going to be seen exactly once more in this entire story. With the Nerb saved, Sonic then goes back into the sewers and finds a big door barred with wood. I know this is a comic, but like, can somebody just explain to me how this door is holding back all of the water after Sonic opens it? Like, there is a huge amount of water that comes rushing in, but whatever, we don't have time to think about that. Sonic goes running, and while he's running, he meets the TMNT for a short moment. Now, I just want to take a quick pause here for a moment, because what do you think Sonic's plan is here? Like, what is his next move? Well, obviously, he is going to jump up in the air and tunnel his way out by spinning. So like, let me ask this question here, and maybe I'm thinking way too far into it, but if Sonic has always been able to just like dig through the dirt like this, why didn't he and his friends just leave like that earlier? Or even better yet, when they were captured way at the beginning of the story by this giant dome, why didn't Sonic just dig them out of there himself? Like, he has this power, but I mean, whatever, obviously I'm thinking too far into this. Whatever. So Sonic's drill uplifts Robotnik City in a mighty geyser, and Robotnik comes flying out of the ground on top of the head of his mech, complaining that he already had a bath this year because comedy, I guess. Then Sonic and friends are made honorary Nerbs, and Tails, interestingly, has nothing negative to say about his outfit now that he's the one wearing clothes. So hey, maybe he was just kind of jealous and tired of being naked. So like, for real, what is this? Like, I know that this is obviously a kid's comic and it's early Archie Sonic, so it was a little bit goofy, but man, like, this is just bad writing all around. Like, so much of this is just silly and doesn't really make any sense. The story itself makes such little sense that there isn't really anything to follow along in the story. Like, the plot itself just doesn't go anywhere. It's bizarre, and it's only exemplified by the fact that it introduces these characters that really feel inspired off of Wonka's candy. But like, Why did they do that? Do kids just really love nerd candy and I didn't know that? Honestly, I have no idea. But would you believe me if I told you that the Nerbs would show up once more about 17 years after this comic? That's almost 2 whole decades since their first appearance. Like, that is insane. Now, if you were one of the people who for 17 years was wondering what the Nerbs were up to, well, Sonic Universe number 37 had you covered, with the introduction to the Dark Egg Legion leader known only as the Foreman. I guess they kind of overthrew their king and hired a fat cat boss to rule over them. I don't really know. Nothing's ever explained about this Foreman or what happened to the king. So really, I couldn't tell you anything except for the fact that he likes to drink tea, because this is the only time we will ever see the Foreman or the Nerbs ever again. Wild. Now, I know this is a shorter video, but the Nerbs weirdly live rent-free in my mind as this weird fever dream that I just couldn't quite remember. And then all of a sudden, Trent Without a Trident inside of my Discord server mentioned them, and they've just been stuck in my head because I was like, oh my god, that's what I've been thinking about this whole time. Anyways, before I close off the video, I have one interesting fact that I kind of realized while working on this video that I wanted to share. So, Archie Sonic comics have a number of sight gags that happen throughout the comic books, and they'll often show off non-Archie comic characters like Batman, Spider-Man, or whatever. You might think that this was the same with the TMNT where they were showing up here, but obviously they weren't supposed to actually be the Ninja Turtles or whatever. But interestingly, Archie had rights to the TMNT at the time instead of Mirage Publishing or IDW Comics, because at this point in time when this comic came out, Archie was actually publishing some Turtles comics, which would mean that this isn't like some cross-publishing crossover or that these are like unnamed Ninja Turtles. These could actually be the actual Ninja Turtles because they had the right to use the Ninja Turtles in their story. I have nothing else fun to say about it. There's nothing about the Nerbs aside from the fact that the Ninja Turtles and the Nerbs canonically have crossed over and lived together. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot to me if you gave it a like, a subscribe, any of that kind of junk that people ask for. As always though, I can't force you to do anything. I just hope that you have a good one.